So let's get started on chapter 13, Salt Permit. So if we remember, like at the end of the last chapter, chapter 12, they were just getting ready to go to sleep. And so um, let's see. Let me go to the actual notes that I have at the end. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is on page 124. And this is just Jing Shao is whipped. Anybody agree with that? I mean, we already knew from like the very beginning that he was like, okay, if there's a next life, like I'm gonna treat you great because clearly you were the only one that was there for me out of all these people. But like just reading the opening of chapter 13 and him just like spending a little bit of time with him, it was so cute. I was like, oh, I love that they woke up together, the way they were, because this was after the night where Jing Shao had tried to have sex with him. And Muhan Zhang was still traumatized from their wedding night. So he was like, don't. And then Jing Shao was like, then we're not. And Muhan Zhang, he felt horrible and he was like, I'm sorry. And then Jing Shao was like, sleep, it's all right. And so they wake up together and he's still holding him and everything. And it's just like, I was grateful for that because it's really easy for Muhan Zhang to feel like, oh my gosh, now he's upset with me, or he doesn't, basically to have negative feelings because he rejected him. And regardless of the reason for the rejection, he has it in his mind that, like Jing Shao is the husband. I can't reject him. I shouldn't reject him, or I can make him upset and all of these things. And so for Jing Shao to hold him throughout the entire night and for them to wake up together, I thought was very nice. There is something that I'm going to say when it comes later in regards to Muhan Zhang apologizing and Jing Shao saying it's all right versus something that happens later. But anyway, so yeah, I just thought it was so cute that they woke up together. You said he found someone he could trust and he is here for it. Yes, absolutely. I love that he goes out of his way to be in his presence. Yes. That is something that I'm going to mention later. But so the reason I say he is whipped is because on page 124, he's thinking, like he's just looking at him or whatever, and he's thinking, this man is probably the warmest and cleanest existence in all the world. I was like, I don't think I've ever heard that before. Someone being the cleanest existence in all the world. But that was so cute. I was like, oh, I absolutely love that he is whipped. And, it's interesting because in all of the Danmei that I've read, except for actually no, I won't count the missing piece because it started out contractually or something, whatever, I don't remember. But I've never read a Danmei where the characters are together in the beginning, basically. But I really like it in this novel. It's just like a different vibe and everything. Not only that, even though they're already together, right now there's this feat of the sexual feat, if you will, that they have to get over. And like they're still, even though they're in harmony-ish, there's still something for them to overcome. And then there's going to be the plot. So I don't know, I just think it's really cool. So anyway, really quickly, there was a new name that I want to help you guys with. I need to type it with my one hand, and that's Li Yanting. So he was told that this person came by to visit to speak to him, and he wasn't there at the time, so they had to schedule that for later. You said we didn't have to go through the trauma with them. Yeah, exactly. Literally just the wedding night trauma. But we didn't have to go through all the mess. And I mean, a lot of Danmei, the real focus is on the plot. And then, oh yeah, there are two guys that are in love with each other. But I think this one even more so like speaks to that it's not about them getting together. They're already together. But it's about building their relationship within the realm of whatever is going to happen. So anyway, after they wake up and everything, we already have, this was a very short chapter, but we have the concubines coming to greet them and everything like that. and one of the concubines trips into Jing Shao. Mu Hanzhong tried to get her, but Jing Shao was faster, right? And so we already see these little concubines are plotting already, because how could they not, right? That's just the way that it does. And so there was one thing that was mentioned that Jing Shao finally expressed again to Mu Hanzhong, that he tried to steer Mu Hanzhong's dad away from the salt trade and instead into horse trading. And I was like, well, okay, let's see what that turns into, which I'm assuming maybe the horse trading would be to get horses for the army. Not really sure, but I guess we'll figure out. Anyway, I just thought that was important to mention for zero point 0.5 seconds. No, that was definitely more than 0.5 seconds. So anyway, eventually we have him, Jing Shao, meeting this Li Yanqing person. He says safe for trade, probably. But I do want to know what the horses would be used for, unless it's just general horse trading. And so they meet with each other, and Jing Shao tells this Li Yanqing person right off the bat, yeah, I think we should stop this salt permit trading stuff, you know? And Li Yanqing is just like, wait, what? What do you mean? And so he's like, yeah, also, here's some advice that I'm going to give you instead. So that it wasn't even up for negotiation. He was just like, yeah, we're not doing this anymore. You can go to Zhenfeng and get some instructions from him, because I have something that I think would be better. And that was the end of that. And Li Yanting had to go. And so then we have on page 131, which is the end of this chapter. Yes, I remember he got pinged in it for his last life. I mean, in his last life. So in this chapter ending, we have a rumor about Jing Shao going out. And that is that Prince Cheng's very name could cure a child of night tantrums. And this is a bad thing. Why is this a bad thing? Because I guess that speaks to the kind of power that he has. At least that's what I am assuming is being led, spoken. And it reminds me of that scene in the beginning of a previous chapter where the lady's child was throwing a tantrum or whatever, and she saw him riding by and was like, you see him? If you don't get it together, he'll get you straight. And it was just like, okay. And I wonder if that's where it stemmed from. Interesting. But yeah, basically, it's like for those who read The Disabled Tyrant's Beloved Pet Fish, when there was something said about Prince Jing, another Prince Jing, and him and something with the dragons or whatever. And it was like a threat to the emperor, if you will, by making it seem like he may be trying to overthrow the throne, basically. And so I feel like this little rumor that's gone around is saying that his name is so mighty, which is a problem. And so then we move into chapter 14, Green Plums. Hold on, gotta get my notes. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me show y'all this picture first. I'm being so disrespectful. I do have to show y'all this picture. Okay. Mu Hanzhong's father's birthday is coming up soon, and so he was painting for him. And then Jing Shao was like, you don't need to do all this work. Here, let me paint something as well. This is all you need. And it was an ugly ass turtle. So here's the picture of that. And this is Mu Hanzhong laughing his butt off at him because he's like, ha ha, that's so ugly and disrespectful. And there's the turtle. Look at the turtle's so ugly, but he looks so proud of it. He's like, hey, look at my turtle. So I thought that was funny because he was just like laughing his butt off at that. You said Snick turning into a dragon or something. Yeah. Hi, NFS. Good to see you. Something like that. I can't remember the details, but yes, we don't need those kind of rumors going around because it automatically just sounds like a threat to the current emperor's power. So moving into chapter 14, Green Plums. Right away, remember, you guys, I said something about this before, but while they were talking, Mu Hanjang was like, we have to solve this problem. We need to get to the root of the cause and get rid of the symptoms and get to the root of the cause. And he was like, look, we need to start a rumor, basically, because any repeated slander that's going on about you, after a time, that slander or that rumor is going to become truth, even if it's not the truth. And we don't want to, like your dad, the emperor, might be able to laugh about it now, but he might not laugh about it in a couple years. And Ding Xiao, it was like he thought that possibly Mu Hanjiang was also reborn as well. And I was like, huh, I had said that at one point. I was like, what if he was reborn too? Or he was in that past life too, and then boom, remembers everything. And so I just thought it was funny that Jing Xiao for a second was like, does does he know? And he was like, if not, then his wisdom is just like amazing. And I think it's probably just his wisdom. He's probably just very smart and cunning. Maybe not reborn, although that would be very interesting if he was. You said Wei Wuxian. Hmm. Yes. And so let's see, on page 133. Wait, did I? Oh, I just wrote that. So this chapter was really all about them spending quality time together. And I love that so much. And I think it's so important, especially after how things started. I don't always want to keep going back to their wedding night, but I do think that it's very relevant actually to the plot and when it comes to the development of their relationship. And so Jing Xiao always wanted to spend time with Mu Hanjiang. I think it's just absolutely amazing because it's getting them familiarized with each other, like not just in the bed at night, like, okay, it's time to lay down, but he will become more comfortable, Mu Hanjiang will, if he's spending time with Jing Xiao just throughout the day. You said how badly we started to where we're going. Exactly. Yeah. So it's like they need that quality time. And that's pretty much what this chapter was about. And it was so cute going to, I think it was like a shop. Yes, and they met this one woman who, I mean, she thought that Mu Hanjiang was really hot. And so she's like, oh, you come back again, I'll give you a discount. And Jing Xiao was like, this is my wife. You better pipe down. And she's like, oh, well, get out. And next time you come, I'll double the price. So anyway, they went to they were talking or whatever, and then they ended up getting to a secret place, which I believe was his brother's Jing Xiao's brother's pavilion or something like that, where there were lots of guards, there wouldn't be people around. And so Mu Hanjiang then starts talking about this rumor again, and his whole thing is fight fire with fire, fight rumors with rumors. So somebody's really jealous of you, and all we have to do is spread rumors about them. It could be something very simple, and just let's see what it turns into. Yes, he sees how much he missed out on in prison, right? So, yeah. So, yeah, let's fight the rumors with the rumors. Everything should work out. So then we have a note on 139 was Jing Xiao was thinking, if the Empress consort had been assisted by Mu Hanjiang instead of his little concubines, he might have died much earlier in his last life. And it just made me think, because remember in the beginning when it looked like Jing Xiao and him were at odds when they went to meet the emperor and the empress, she was happy to see Jing Xiao not helping him. And so I wonder if at some point in their last life she did try to get his help, but he said no. Who knows? But anyway, so moving on. Actually, yeah. The first two chapters were really short. Anyway, they're sitting and drinking tea and talking and everything. And Mu Hanjiang, he cuts his finger on the cup, the wooden cup. It got a splinter, which is the worst. And what happens? Jing Xiao takes the splinter out, little blood puffs up, and what does he do? Oh, this is what he does. So another picture so soon. Here it is. Look at that blush. It's so cute. He is blushing so hard. I love it. Muhan Jang is just like, why? He's like, why is this guy so shameless? I cannot. Oh my gosh. But I love it. It's so funny. Let's see. Someone writes Mari Chan that angst prequel she creates. You love the rumor mill they started. Yes. I can't wait till we talk about it. Oh, I've forgotten. Mostly just remember the warm fuzzies. Yeah, go ahead. Someone write me some angst. Y'all know I love it. So that was all for that chapter because it wasn't even 10 pages long. I don't think it was very short. So going to chapter 15 called Madness, which since someone just mentioned some angst, even though it's not like really angsty, it's something. So Madness, we have well, first off, Jing Xiao wants Mu Hanzhong to take a bath with him. Why? Because in that moment where they were together and he, got the blood off his finger and everything, at some point, Mu Hanzhong pushed him away and he latched onto something that was broken and he ended up falling on his behind. And so, what did he say? Oh, you said sorry, but your sorry needs to be sincere. You should take a bath with me. Or if you don't do that, then rub some ointment on my booty cheeks because they're sore and hurt. And so, of course, Muhan Jong is like, be in the tub naked with him, or he be naked and I be clothed and just rub ointment on his bottom. Let's do that one instead. And so he runs out the bathroom. And binge buzzed brain. And so after he gets out the tub, Jing Xiao is what do they call it? Spread eagle? I don't know what it's called. I think he basically is naked except for a shirt on, and he's laying on his stomach, booty cheeks up. And I just thought it was funny because for the first time we actually got to see Muhan Jang look checking him out, basically, like he couldn't even help it. And so let's see. Yes, like once he saw him, it was like, he was well proportioned and muscular, filled with obvious strength and agility. Even the two slender legs sitting close together with their streamlined muscles looked dangerously, powerfully beautiful. And Muhan Jang only snapped out of his daze when some of the ointment dripped from his fingers and onto the glorious curves. I was like, poor Muhan Chang. He got to see the goods and he was just like, for a moment, like, oh, okay. So that was really funny. I was like, there we go. Because, of course, it had mentioned before that Muhan Jang knew that he was handsome. But it's just nice to see that, okay, he is attracted to him. Like it's not a one sided thing. So that was very interesting, very funny. And then of course, I loved how actually I really loved this scene. It was funny because he started applying the medicine, the ointment on Jing Xiao's butt. And Jing Xiao immediately regretted it because it was like it said Mu Hanjiang's touch was too nice. And he was getting hard. I'm sorry. He was getting so turned on and he was like, fuck. Like, why did I do this to myself? Because now, like, we can't do anything because I know that my husband is still terrified from our wedding night, which also he said brought it upon himself. Yes, which I also think is hilarious. Abort mission. I also think it's just really great because in this moment, you see that he's like, dang it, he has a fear that has not faded yet. So, how am I supposed to kindle these flames? I mean, how am I supposed to dwindle these kindled flames? And I was really happy to see that because it could have been the case where, like, this is just his thoughts, but it could have been the case where he was like, oh, right. Junting is still afraid because of what happened on our wedding night. Ugh, I'm so annoyed by this. Like, I wish he would just get over it so I could have sex with him. But in this moment, he was like, okay, he's still afraid. What am I gonna do to calm myself down? Because there's nothing that can be done other than that. And so I just like seeing that one little moment where he's like, okay, I need to calm down. Like, it was just great. Exactly. He didn't even bring it to attention. He just let this stay in his head, like, okay, this was a bad idea. How do I calm myself down? And so we have that. I love that he mentally acknowledges that fear. So then we move to page 146. And this is about the ledgers and everything. So one of the things I want to say, because Yunju, his little page boy, brought him the ledgers from the past 3 years, and he's like, "Are you really gonna study this? Because like all of them are like this stacked this high." And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, I am." And I love the fact that Muhanjong did not share his plans to study the past 3 years with Song Lingxin, which is the secondary concubine or whatever, secondary wife, because had he told her that, she could have done something to them, tampered with them, or even destroyed them in some way. And so the fact that he didn't tell her that, he was able to prepare, because we already know that she has her schemes going on and wants to do something in concern with the ledgers to try to mess him up, but he's preparing himself. So I was just like, yes, thank you for not sharing what you wanted to do. So you said Muhan ain't gonna let anything slip. Exactly. So I absolutely love that. So then one thing that Muhan Jong learns slash points out is that he didn't receive his allowance, which could be a problem if he needs to spend money. I mean, I think that's just pretty obvious. So yeah, he didn't get his money, and let me see. Why do I have be prepared? I literally just have a note that says be prepared. That's that's not very helpful, Mari. What did you mean? Oh, I remember what it means. He said, as the main wife, it's very obvious. Yes. So here's the thing. Jing Xiao, he busts up into the estate or whatever, and I think his eyes are bloodshot. It's Ethan ambition. And he is be prepared. There's also hoodwinked. Be prepared, be prepared. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, anyway, so I'm sorry. So yes, no, this is why I wrote be prepared, because Jing Shao came in, he looked like angry or just like out of it or whatever, and he quickly grabbed Muhan Zhang, got him on the horse, and started galloping away. And at first, people were like the concubines were like, "Oh, is he possibly mad at Muhan Zhang? Yay!" That's not what it was, though. The guy was having some madness going on. He went all the way to his pavilion where Zhen Feng, his Imperial Guard captain, was, and he leapt onto the platform and it started fighting people, because he, for a moment, was back in time, and he just lost it for a moment. And so, he's fighting and everything until everybody's, all done for. And then Muhan Jong is like, "You guys go away. Go. I'm going to deal with this." And so he goes up to him and he's like, "Jing Shao," or "Your Highness," actually. And then Jing Shao was like, "I'm going to fight you too." And so Muhan Jong grabs a saber and he's like, "Calm down, sir. Like, hold on. It's me." And so, yes, I do love that his first instinct was to get Muhan. It reminds me of their past life. They were on the horse together and he was like, "I'm taking you with me." That's why I was like, that man was really back in time. Yes, PTSD. And so eventually, he saw like, "Oh, this is Muhan Jong," and he sank to the ground and he was crying, and the rain was falling, and he was just like, "They killed my mother. This is Jing Shao." They killed my mother. So that is what sent him, you know? So, man, they have so many pictures and just like a few. I love that. Anyway, so let me show y'all this picture of Muhan Zhang for the first time, really supporting Jing Xiao. Here we go. They're holding each other while the rain is falling. They were there for like 2 hours. Yeah, it's a long time. And so, yeah, they killed his mother. Let's find out some more. So, chapter 16 is called Needing Money. You said the boys. Yes. Oh, let me get my notes. Okay, yeah. So anyway, they knelt for like 2 hours and then eventually they go inside of this villa, which has everything they need. Like they didn't have to go back to Jing Shao's original estate. They could stay where they were. And Muhan Zhang is trying to take care of Jing Shao so that he doesn't get sick. Meanwhile, he ends up being the one that's like, achoo. But we have to remember he has a highly susceptible body, if we will, because of him going into the pond, being pushed into the pond. And so we learn that once he had knelt for 6 hours in the rain, 6 hours in the rain to, oh my God, to save his nanny. And I just think that is so sweet because he didn't have to do that. The nanny could have been sent away and that just would have been it. But as a child, he knelt for 6 hours to save his nanny. And of course, we know that I think the nanny's son had stole something and they were about to get kicked out and everything. And of course, the main wife was trying to get her kicked out because this was someone who cared for Muhan Zhang. She didn't want anyone there that cared for Muhan Zhang, but he was able to get her to stay. Then we also learned that Jing Shao has knelt before too, for an entire day and night. I was like, what's all this kneeling? I can't do that. You won't catch me kneeling that long. I don't care whose life it is. I wouldn't kneel to save my own life. I'm not kneeling for 6 hours or a full day and night for anyone. I just can't. My knees don't work that way. They don't. So anyway, so yeah, he just cried. Jing Shao as he was recalling the past with his mother. And that was just so sad because even Muhan Zhang was basically like, you know, a man doesn't cry unless grief has truly stricken his heart. And so that's clearly what's happened in this moment. And I was just like, oh, poor little babies. But as they're like spending this time together, we're talking about the names because Muhan Zhang called him Your Highness again. And Jing Shao was like, I already told you when we're by ourselves, don't call me that or I'm going to punish you. And by punish, he means, which is not a punishment. Okay. And so Muhan Zhang is like, well, did you have any nicknames growing up? And so he said, I bet you they ain't going to kneel at 40 with that kind of childhood. They were young. I know, so young. And so, yes. So he's like, do you have any nicknames? Did your mom give you a nickname when you were a kid? And so Jing Shao tells him, you know, my mother and older brother, they called me Lil Shar. Lil Shao R. Like Lil for little, Shao R. There we go. And so also I thought it was weird that they put the apostrophe after the I. They did like L-I apostrophe L, which is usually not how we do it. It's just L-I-L. But anyway, Lil Shawar. So R is son. Okay. Shao is his name. Lil is Lil. So it was funny because Muhan Zhang was like, oh, she called you Little Spoon. And so for anyone who is not aware, so Jing Shao's name, it's the pronunciation is Shao. The way that you say spoon in Mandarin is Shao. Exact same tones. They're just different characters. And so that's where that little joke comes from. If you did not know, if you're reading a fan translation and it didn't like share that or anything like that. So yeah, he called him Little Spoon. And I thought that was just so funny. So it was just nice because Jingcha was like, is my wife teasing me right now? Which I thought was great because it's like, yes, he's teasing you, which is good. This is good. You say, glad I explained. You're welcome. Because you never know. I was actually surprised they didn't have a footnote for that. I was like, where's the footnote? I mean, I already knew. Um, but yeah, so there you have it. Man, Seven Seas, what are you doing? That was the perfect footnote moment. Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna contact them, tell them to republish the book and put the footnote there. So then we get to page 158. And this is where we finally learn who pushed Muhan into the pond, which we had already said before. We were like, it was probably his older brother, right? And Master Yuan had come back with the information for him, and he was like, yeah, it was his big brother, Mu Ling Bao. So, and the reason that he pushed him was so stupid. Their grandma had made them fur coats, and Muhan's was made out of rabbit fur. And because Muhan was such an adorable little child, he thought that his jacket was probably better, and he wanted it for himself. So he was like trying to pull it off and pushed him into the pond or whatever. And then he and their cousins ran for a rabbit fur coat because you were jealous. Okay, fine. So it was very hard to find this information because, of course, Mu Lingbao's mother made sure to try to get rid of everyone that would know about this because she didn't want it to ruin her son's reputation. Because, of course, had the Marquis Bayway known this, things probably would have turned out a lot differently. So it was just like, okay. So then he's like, Jingxia was like, okay, I have two tasks for you. The first one is that I want you to tell me everything you can about Mu Lingbao. I want to know what his hobbies are, who his acquaintances are, what's his daily routine, does he have any usual haunts? And I'm like, yeah, Mu Lingbao, you finna get it. You finna get it, sir. You finna get it, sir. And so, man, and then his other thing, he said kids be kids, but if the parents don't teach them better, it gets worse. Exactly. It's like, I'm not surprised that he ran away and the cousins ran away. But like, as a mother, when you figured that out, why not just scold the boy? Like, was it that hard to why is it that no one can find out what happened? Like, I get it. I get it. The multiple wives and concubines, they don't be liking each other and stuff like that. But it's just like, come on. You can dislike someone, but not actively work to ruin their lives. You cannot actively try to hide things that happen when it's something bad. Like, what are we doing? Anyway, I feel bad for Mu Ling Bao. Actually, no, I don't. I don't really feel bad for him at all because he's still mean and disrespectful to him. So at least when he can be. You said because your status depends on your spawn, right? I know. And it's just like, ugh, so stupid. So anyway, that was that. And the second task that he gave to Master Yuan was to get people to spread the word in the capital that fourth prince Jing Yu likes to eat raw meat. So Jing is, I'm sure y'all got that. So YU, whenever you see YU together, it's not going to be you, like YOU. It's going to be you. So if you go ye, keep saying E, but bring your lips into the O sound. So ye, Jing Yu, not Jing Yu, Jing Yu. Anyway, hope that was helpful. So then, cackles. And I'm just trying to help. So those are his two tasks. And at first, I know he's like, Master Yuan's like, wait, what? Huh? And he's like, I mean, didn't he eat some fish before? It was raw fish as tribute. All we're doing is leaving out the word fish. So go spread the rumor. And so I'm like, oh God, I guess we'll see where this goes. So anyway, at the end of this chapter, we have one of the servants, Lan Shen, coming to Mu Hanjiang to tell him that his wet nurse, I believe, her son got hurt, and they're at the gate asking for help, asking for money because, of course, his family's not helping, and so she's coming to him in hopes that they can get some help. And yeah, he broke his leg, and they don't have the money to get it treated. So he is like, okay, he's going to have to ask to borrow money because he doesn't have any money because he didn't even get his money. So he goes to where Jing Shao is and he's like, okay, I'm going to stand here awkwardly until he's done practicing. And then Jing Shao sees him standing there awkwardly and he's like, what's wrong? And he's like, I need to borrow 100 taels of silver, please. And so then we get into chapter 17, where Jing Shao is like, you need money? Okay. Here's this big old box with stuff in it. 100 taels of silver and gold and some banknotes, all for you. And so Mu Hanjiang's like, okay, I'll make sure that I pay you back. Something happened to the wet nurse in my family and I just don't have the money right now, but I'll pay you back. And Jing Shao's like, say that one more time. You gonna do what? And so, of course, Mu Hanjiang realizes, oh yeah, he's my husband. It's insulting to say that I'm going to pay him back. So then he's like, oh yeah, but like, in maybe 20 years, I won't be able to get the money to you till then. Yeah. And then Jing Shao was like, yeah, we're all good now. It was just crazy. No, so that was that little moment between them. He got the money and he figured the rest of the money, after paying for, the nurse's son, he would use to invest in a kind of business or something to make a profit. Because in his mind's eye, a man needs to be making some form of income. So I'm like, okay, look at you. You're trying to figure out what else to do because you can't rely on your family. You can't rely on just the allowance that you're getting as the first wife. Make your own money, honey. you know so yes, he's being so proactive. Yes, hubby is a caretaker, is what I was about to say. He is a caretaker because he was like, it's my responsibility to take care of you. If you ever need anything, he said, just come to me. I got you. Okay, cool. So that was that. And then we have this yes, going to page 162. You said side ship ramming from the left stage. I am so glad. Where am I? I'm pleased with this author. I don't know if I've said that yet, but I am pleased with this author because of how this started, and they are constantly putting in the effort to be realistic about responses on sexual trauma, because we have now Mu Hanjiang is looking at the Peony book. Yeah. Because, or he's realizing, oh, today is the 15th of the third month. So according to the little Peony booklet, Jing Shao should be going over to Madame Song. And he's like, he's happy about this. because they've been, doing a little something in the bed, not having sex, but kissing and stuff. And like Jing Shao has been traveling down his collarbone and stuff like that. And it says here that since Mu Hanjiang was also a man, he was well aware of how easy it would to be to lose control if they kept this up. And that was why he spent every day on edge and only dared fall asleep once Jing Shao had drifted off. And I think that that is a very realistic response, because He's like, I'm a man. I know what it's like to get excited in sexual situations. And so I'm freaked out because I know this man wants to have sex with me, but like, I don't. And, and so he's like waiting until Jing Shao falls asleep. And he's like, okay, now I can fall asleep. But also, I'm really happy that he's supposed to be going over to that one lady because, like, she can satisfy him. Yeah. Phew. It's just kind of how, and I just think that was very nice. So, um, so again, just addressing that lingering fear, despite the progress that's being made in their relationship, I think is very good. So then the booklet says that he's supposed to be with Madame Song, right? And he lets Jing Xiao know this. But Jing Xiao was like, oh no, I'm too tired. I don't feel like it. Or something like that. What did he say? Oh, yeah, he said, I'm not in the mood tonight. He's not in the mood tonight, right? So he's not going over there. And so Muhan Zhang's like, well, I mean, I can't force him if he doesn't want to go. So I guess we're sleeping in the bed together, but he's not in the mood. So everything's all good, right? Wrong. So Jing Chao is like kissing him on his neck and everything. And Muhan Dong, he's like this. That boy's got his eyes squeezed shut tight, because he's like, oh my gosh. And it said like his lashes are trembling and everything. And Jing Xiao doesn't want to scare him anymore. And so I loved this part where he's like, he wrapped him in his arms and then he was like, let me touch you a bit and I'll let you go tonight. And I just think, I mean, it wasn't asking for permission, but it was asking for permission, in the way that they would. He's like, just let me touch you just like a tiny bit, please. Just a tiny way. If you let me do that, then like we can just stop. Like we don't have to go too far. Please, love. And that's just, yes, that's how my brain, okay. So because of how direct he was and how gentle he was with it, Muhan Jang was like, okay, um, where? Where do you want to touch me? Right, please. He's like, where do you want to touch me? And so I love that Jing Shao was like, okay, well, the last time we got like right here, can I go just like a tiny bit lower? Just a little bit, like not too much further. We'll take this slow. And I was like, you're doing good, Jing Shao. You're doing good. Just a little bit lower, please. And so Muhan Zhang, he just seemed really flustered and didn't say anything. And so Jing Shao was like, well, there's my consent. And so he's going for it or whatever. And we have it here that, Muhan Zhang groaned because he liked it. He liked it. but what does Jing Shao do? He gets a little too excited. And in his excitement, what does he do? He finds Muhan Zhang's nipple and touches it. And once he did that, Muhan Zhang was like, don't. It's like, darn. And so he stopped Jing Xiao's hand. He's like, okay, that was more than a little. That was way more than a little bit lower. And so it said Jing Xiao, he didn't even seem embarrassed about what he did at all and getting caught and just escalating a little bit. And so he just kissed him on the forehead and, wrapped him in his embrace again. And then was like, okay, sleepy time. But it was such a cute little moment. I loved it so freaking much. So then we move to, what do I have here? Oh, yes. We also learn I guess the next day, you said, how else are you going to build trust? Exactly. Exposure therapy. That is exactly what that is. Yeah. Exposing you to the very thing that you fear and you just like take it a little slowly. So then we also find out that the next day that Zhen Feng, the Imperial Guard captain, was a vigilante. I wasn't expecting to see that in here. I was like, oh, vigilante. I love vigilantes. I don't know. Okay. So anyway, he was a vigilante, but eventually he was like, yeah, I need to settle down, need to make enough money, get, blah, blah, blah for a fam. And so he ended up joining the Imperial Guard. That was his whole story. Very nice. And then we get the rumor about the prince, the fourth prince, Jing Yu. So first, we go from that this man eats human flesh. He said, shows him he will take no as no. Yes. And that is so important because, Mu Hanzhong was thinking he can't say no. He shouldn't say no. And so he's just showing him, like, you do have agency here, You said stop. Okay. We stop. So yes, we have the brother. He eats human flesh. It's the first rumor. And somebody's like, it's not that bad. He just likes to eat the placentas. A woman's placenta. And then somebody else is like, both of you are tripping. That's actually wrong. He's got to eat raw baby flesh every year to live a long life because he's frail. I'm like, we got that from he eats raw meat. Rumors really do be going wild because what the heck? So that was that rumor. And I was just like, yeah. Okay. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay. Yeah. So I was just like, okay, well, he eats raw flesh, I guess. Cool. So that was from chapters 13 through 17. We are going to continue. I'm just looking for Nichuna. What? Oh, there you are. Okay. I want us to take a second for announcements just because I didn't want to do them in the beginning, but I didn't want to do them in the end when people are leaving. So I want to share a couple of things with you guys and read some of these comments. But yes, learn limits. I don't know this word. Canon was there. What is that? So let's see. The first announcement that I want to make is that we are going to be doing a New Year celebration. I was able to put a deadline on a telephone game. Got you. Okay, got you. Yes. Oh, I used to love that game growing up. It was like by the time you get to the last message, what happened? Oh, let's move on to the last 18, 19, 20, 3 chapters that we have read here. Well, I'm sure some people already finished the book. I was tempted to keep reading. So we're going to go to chapter 18. And that is, hold on, 7 pages. These chapters are so short, which is kind of like an attractor for me. I really like that. Like I don't mind long chapters, especially when I'm reading fanfics. Like, I don't care how long it is. But when it's really short chapters, it makes me feel like I'm doing something. I'm like, oh, look at me. I'm already on chapter 18. So it's hard to stop. It is very edible. I don't think you meant that edible. So chapter 18 is entitled Young Vice Minister. Very exciting. Or really just the last 3 chapters. So we have Jing Shao. He is finally going back to court because this man has been avoiding it since he got married. He's like, I just want to spend time with my wifey. That's all I want to do. And that's what he's been doing. But now he's officially going back to court. And he is in the Ministry of War, if you will, even though the people there don't really like him, don't really want him telling them what they should and shouldn't do, which I always find weird. I'm like, isn't he a soldier? Has he not been in the army since the age of 14? Why is it that we don't want his input for real? Okay, makes sense. So anyway, we have it here. Of course, it's just mentioned again that in the past, because he's looking at everyone while he's, in the grand hall, and remembering all of these people from his past life, like, oh, these are the people that didn't support me, these are the people that I had to kneel before, these the minister of revenue is the one who impeached me for trafficking salt, these people accuse me of embezzlement. And so, just seeing all of these people, someone else was like, he deceived the emperor and was planning a coup. And so he's just looking at all these people. And then he mentions that aside from the minister of revenue, no one was willing to talk to him. This was the only person who was willing to say a single word in his favor. And I was like, okay, interesting. Because at one point, Muhanjang ends up running into this young vice minister's wife, who is also a man. So very, very interesting. So let's see, on page 170, I have a highlight here. Okay, so one second. Yes, the emperor is like, okay, did y'all hear about this rumor about Jingyu and eating babies and placentas and human flesh and everything like that? And I love it because um Jing Shao has one response, and then Jing Chun, his older brother, has an opposing response, basically. And so when we look on page 170, it's like the fact that the two brothers' answers contradicted each other clearly shows that they weren't aware of this matter ever before. And even if they were, that they hadn't colluded with each other. And I was just snickering away because I was like, actually, they intentionally contradicted each other, and they were aware of this matter beforehand, and they had colluded with each other. But they put on these acts, and so everyone, including the emperor, is like, okay, it wasn't them that started this rumor, right? And then we have the first prince, Jing Zhong, who is stirring the pot because he's like, oh, now that I think about it, brother Jing Yu, you're pretty fortunate to have tried these delicacies, these exotic delicacies that even I haven't had. And you were able to indulge in these delicacies because the only person who's supposed to be able to have such things for real is the emperor. So the fact that the son has had it, Jing Yu, but not the emperor, he was stirring the pot. I was like, see, you're helping Jing Shao and Jing Chun and don't even know it. Thank you very much. And so the the emperor is like upset about this. And so of course Jing Yu is like, oh my gosh, please forgive me. Like, dad, like I got the fish from mom. But no, there was no gluttony. I wasn't overindulging myself. Like, oh my gosh, please. And he's like, 1 month of confinement for you. It's pretty much how that went. So I just thought that was so funny. It was like, so they plotting and y'all just believing that they had nothing to do with it. And then the other brother is kind of helping and doesn't even know it. So it was just really funny. His brother is a smart cookie. And so then let's see. Yep, I just said that. Yep, confined to his room for a month, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yes, a new name. Did I highlight it? Yes. Okay, so we do have a new name, and that is of this vice minister. Typing with one hand. And his name is Xiao Yuan. Xiao Yuan. And then his courtesy name is Hung Zhi. Hung Zhi. So that's how we pronounce that. So anyway, before, I think I missed something in a previous chapter. So I told you guys that Mu Hanjiang had went to a restaurant. It was like the something of nostalgia, basically a popular place. And he went to eat and ended up coming across the vice minister's wife, again, who was a man. And he was like, huh, maybe I can get close to this guy. I think that would be helpful for my husband, possibly. And then you said, when people want an excuse to throw shade. Yes. So then eventually he leaves at some point or whatever, and Jing Shao, once the grand hall meeting is over, makes his way to the exact same place, but Mu Hanjong is already gone. And when he gets there, he meets Xiao Yuan's wife and is like, I want some food. What can I call you? And he's like, my name is Joe. Hold on. Another name. Joe Jean. That was very easy. Joe Jean. It's like Joe Jean, basically. you know? And so he's like, well, my name is Joe Jean. And Jing Xiao, I think, ends up calling him like Mr. Joe. And the vice minister gets there and he's like, you call him up. He's upset because, like, does he not have propriety? Like, why is he calling my wife Mr. Joe? Hold on. But anyway, Jing Xiao, I love this. He's like, I'm here to ask you for advice. And so he's like, okay, well, what advice do you want? And that is for help in cajoling Mu Hanjur in bed. He's just like, I need to figure out how to um, make my wife no longer fear bedroom affairs. And you have a great relationship with your wife. Help me. So he was able to like steer, you need notes. He was able to steer the guy from being upset from how he was addressing his wife. And so he basically tells him, his personal mottos, if you will, or rules in order to soften Mu Hanjong in bed. So then we have them talking, and it says on page 175, sometimes a friendship could form in the blink of an eye. And that was the case with Jing Shao and Xiao Yuan. So I also just think it was great that even though the two of them were not planning anything, they hadn't discussed anything like that, they're still with one accord because Mu Hanjong was already there earlier and already had his own thoughts like, okay, maybe I should try to befriend this person, but I'm gonna wait and talk to my husband first, only for later Jing Shao to go to the same place and making the same connections. So I just thought that was really cool. So I can't wait for them to like, really get to talking about that. So anyway, oh yes, at the end of this chapter, we have Mu Hanjong and Song Lingxin getting into a spat. They are in a little argument, and Jing Shao is walking in on this. And so we go to chapter 19, which was quite interesting. So Jing Shao, he don't even wait a moment. He busts up in there. He's like, hold your tongue, you whore. No, I'm kidding. He did not call him you whore. You said they reverse top and bottom too. Oh my gosh, what are you telling me? They do seem like an interesting little couple. He was like, I'm gonna make you wear pink. I was like, what? Okay. But yes, the vice minister is this short little guy, and his wife is this tall little. I was like, okay, interesting. I wonder how you guys' relationship works. But hey, it looks like it's pretty good. You said Mr. Joe is top. Nice. The guy who wears pink is top. He pays. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I do want to see more interactions with them because I think it would be cool. Also, Jing Xiao did say to the vice minister, he was like, I think it would be nice if your wife took my wife out and let them spend some time together. And I was like, oh, look at you trying to get your wife a friend, which I think is so nice and also very important. Mu Hanjong does need a friend. He needs someone that he can talk to outside of his spouse because it's not like he's cool with the concubines because they suck. They suck ass. So I like that he's trying to get a friend for his spouse as well because his spouse already wants to be that person's friend. Ding dong. Best side characters. I guess I'll learn as I keep reading. So then we get to chapter 19, which is called Buffoon. And that made me laugh when I read that it was called Buffoon. He said, when you find a partner who wants you to have friends rather than isolating you, yes, so rare in romance books, right? It's always, I want to keep you locked away more than. Even though he was fine, he realized that was a beast inside of him. But it's yeah, a lot of times they're just like, I want to keep you all to myself. You don't need to spend time with anyone else. You don't need to be with anyone else. Let me just spend all of my time with you, And it's like, can I have friends, please? Like, can I be with someone else? Okay. So we have chapter 19, one person cult. It's like, I have one member of this cult, you, and you cannot leave ever. So, so anyway, in chapter 19, Jing Xiao busts in and he's telling her, like, hold your tongue. And so Song Lingxin, she was about to say something else to berate Mu Hanjiang, but when he entered, she was like, hold on. So then Jing Xiao was like, Muhan, tell me what's going on. And so he tells him, like, hey, I want to provide shelter for my wet nurse and her son until the son's leg is healed, and Song Lingxin is against it because it's against the rules that have been set in the estate. And so of course she's saying this, she's like, well, it's against the rules, we can't just bring anybody up in here, and God forbid something untoward happens to one of your concubines. So of course we know what she's saying by speaking in that manner. And Jing Xiao slaps the hell out of her. That man said, which I'm not gonna be honest. I know why he did it, but in the moment I was like, dang, was that really necessary? I was like, this is a rule that y'all set. She's not lying. If this is a rule that y'all set, I mean, was that really worth the reaction? Which is great because, like, even after that, she's sent away. She's confined to her room or her area for a month, and she can't come out. And Muhan Zhang, I just love that how honest of a person he is, because he's like, actually, I did panic a bit this morning and just let them come in. I didn't think things through. Um, she is right. Like, I mean, that is a rule here. So it was like he was able to acknowledge that, okay, he had done something wrong. But Jing Xiao's problem wasn't necessarily about Song Lingxin making the point of, hey, this is a rule we have here and you just broke it. He didn't like the way that she was talking to Mu Hanjiang. And if he let that slide, then that was going to set the tone for everyone else, thinking that they could talk to Mu Hanjiang however they wanted, which is why he slapped the hell out of her. So it was just like, yeah. And so Jing Xiao was like, they don't have to just stay here for the time it takes for him to heal. He's like, if you want to bring them to just stay here permanently, you can. They could be part of the dowry, because servants can be part of the dowry. So just go ahead and make it the case. If you don't want them to be at Bayway Estate, bring them here. And I was like, yeah, that's so sweet, because I think it would be nicer for him to have more people in his corner, even if they're just servants, for him to have people who are there that will love and support him. That would be great. So that was that little moment. Then we have him going, I guess, to his Ministry of War work, right? And even though he had been gone for a bit, his desk was not piled high with requests. There were only 2 memorials submitted. The first one was requesting a reduction in military personnel because they had already defeated Xiongnu, and they were like, we're not going to need this many soldiers, blah, blah, blah. Which, if you ask me, I mean, I don't know. I'm not in the army. I've never been in the army, so I don't know. But just because we're at peace doesn't necessarily mean that we should pull back on military support. Because what happens when a threat comes again? Then you're not going to have enough people. So I thought that was kind of an odd request. And he even pushed it to the side. He was like, yeah, this is irrelevant right now. So you said it depends on who pays for it. Yeah, I guess that's true. And then the second request, more memorial submitted, was that there were barbarians near Sinan County and they needed suppression. because they were going crazy and driving people crazy. And so this was like the more pressing thing. And let me see, armies are a huge drain on the budget. I could believe that. Yeah, that's why Rome and China did huge infrastructure projects when military went off duty. Mm. If they're fully equipped and idle, it turns into warlords. Huh. So, yes. So Song An, I feel like that's very easy to pronounce. Song An, not Song An, but Song An is Song Lingxin's dad. This is the secondary wife of Jing Shao's. Yeah, I was like, how she know this? But how do you know this? But I was gonna leave it alone. I'm like, thanks for the education. I could never be a historian. Oh my gosh. I do not like history. History was not my least favorite subject, but it was one I did not care for until I had a teacher that made it very interesting. He was like so lively in his class. It was the best history class I'd ever had. And then when I went to college, I had another history class that was slightly boring, but also not. And at the time I was a music education major. And my history teacher, she was like, "You should be a history major because your work is really good in this class." And I was like, "You said what now?" I was like, "Well, I'm glad I'm doing great, but no, that is just because I personally believe that your teaching is keeping me engaged enough. But I don't want to be a history major. All my life has been boring because the teachers are boring." So he says, same. Logistics has a grip on you. Hey, whatever works, works, you know. No, I wasn't taught it right. That's what I'm saying. Like when you're teaching us things that happened in the past, when you're teaching us things that we weren't there for, you gotta make it exciting, you know? Like it didn't happen in my class specifically, but my senior year history teacher, he got so animated about what he was teaching that in one of his classes one day he literally jumped on top of his desk because he was that animated. His class was fun. That was the most interested in history I had ever been. And we need more teachers like that. I get that some of them are old, so maybe they can't jump on top of their desk, but like, don't just be talking like this. And in the year 1857, Karuji Kamamba moved the funds from the Hubba Bubba to the Hubba Bubba. And just talking like this. It's very boring and does not capture anyone's attention. But pretty much every single history teacher that I have had has delivered everything just like this. Very boring. Very boring. You said you had one great teacher and it sparked. Love it. She wasn't about years and names. She made it into, oh, causality, dominoes, context. I love that. Most teachers do just have it based on like year, like time period, names. This is all you need to know. so, so yeah, that second memorial is the more pressing thing. And Song An, Song Li Qing's father, suggested that he, Jing Shao, lead the troops there to Sinan to handle these barbarians to gain recognition. But in truth, Jing Shao knows that he's really saying that to pull time away from Muhanzhang to try to solidify Song Lingxing's place within the estate. He ain't stupid. He ain't stupid at all. And then the father also mentions, he was like, I know that my daughter upset you. And he's like, are we really mentioning that here in the Ministry of War? What does that have to do with anything? He stepped into a poop mine. But yes. Oh, so yes, you say he's a fast learner and he had life to learn from. Yes, I'm glad he's learning because it's like eh, it's I get it. When you're in the army, you may not understand politics and stuff like that, but you are also a prince. And these are things that you need to know because your life could be at stake even when you're not doing anything wrong. Like we learned from the imperial uncle, Your life is at stake, okay? You know, so even if you don't want to be part of these things, you are part of those things. Unfortunately, you just are. So, moving to the last chapter for this session, surviving to succession is literally your exam. That part. So, chapter 20, entitled Misunderstanding. No LinkedIn. No LinkedIn. So, we have what we finally get what Xiao Yuan advised Jing Shao in order to assuage the fears of Muhan Zhang in bed. And that was to treat him gently in bed and respect him. Kissing being more effective than random touches, and that will make him feel cherished. And I was like, you know what? I feel like overall, Jing Shao has just been doing that already, aside from the random touches. Aside from that, but he has been respecting Muhan Zhang. He has been kissing him and licking him, and he has been respecting him. So he's already doing a great job. So it's just nice. Exactly. He did already die for it once. So it's just nice to know that, like, the advice that he's gotten is just reinforcing what he's doing. And but a little tweaking, like maybe less touching. So, then we have this chapter is really just them sharing intimacy, physical intimacy with each other. And I appreciated this chapter so much because he was taking the time to do that, and making sure that he was tuning in to Muhan Zhang and not just trying to like move too quickly. And clearly, Muhan Zhang was feeling it. He was feeling it. He was liking it very, very much. And even we have a part where Jing Shao was looking at his nipples and he wanted to touch them like he did last time. But instead of touching them, he used his mouth instead. and saying Muhan Zhang was just he was feeling it basically, and by feeling it I mean he was like, oh my gosh, like this is way too much but it also feels good, I'm not gonna lie, like he was feeling it. That was funny. And it was like, okay, he's just gonna allow himself to be in this moment and to let the pleasure wash over him. And so then we get to hold on. Oh yes, Jing Shao, he started to get carried away, which he's a diligent student. He started to get carried away and excited, especially after he heard Muhan Zhang moan. And what did he do? He reached his hand down and his palm, I guess he touched his booty. Hold on one second. Downward till he was smoothing his palm over rounded curves through the layer of snowy satin. Yeah, I assumed that he was touching his butt. And in that moment, that completely snapped Muhan Zhang out of the moment. And he was like, don't again. And he flinched away. And he had terror in his eyes. And Jing Xiao saw that and he froze. And immediately, like they stared at each other. And then, like being interrupted like that, Jing Xiao completely went out of the mood. And so he laid down, like turned his back, I think. Yeah, he faced the wall and laid down, and they didn't say anything. But in this moment, the reason why this chapter is called Misunderstanding is because Muhan Zhang was like, oh my gosh, he must be upset with me. I have upset him because I rejected him again. Meanwhile, Jing Xiao was like, fuck me. I got carried away. Damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Shame on you, Jing Xiao. Like, why did you do that? You already knew you were supposed to move slowly. You weren't supposed to do that, and you did it. How dare you do that? He's mad at himself, not Muhan Zhang. And I'm glad we got to this point because this brings me back to when I said in chapter 12, I believe, after their first attempt, and Muhan Zhang apologized, and Jing Xiao said, it's okay, sleep. I'm a words person. Not all the time, but the most of the time, I'm a words person. So I really appreciated the shift from that time to this time. Because when Muhan Jang apologized for something that he did not need to apologize for, Jing Shao said it's okay, which of course it makes it sound like I'm accepting your apology. And there was nothing wrong with that per se, but it's like, well, he shouldn't have had to apologize. He's traumatized, you know? Like in scenarios now, like for again, I'm not saying he literally was like, it's okay, I accept your apology. But it's like in that moment, he's like, no, it's fine. But in like, I just remember a moment between like my husband and I with me having adenomyosis and that making, sex painful. At one point, I cried and I was just like, I'm so sorry. I just wanted things to be better. And he was like, what are you apologizing for? You don't have to apologize. Whereas here, this time, we have, I feel like he's just growing in awareness. Not to say that he didn't have awareness then, but he was just like, it's okay. Let's just go to sleep. Whereas this time, he's like, freak. Okay. Well, first, he's seeking advice. I mean, he's more self-aware because he sought advice. Okay. And then he's using it. But I just think him thinking more about what he did wrong this time shows a step forward. Not to say that he didn't think anything the last time. They kind of just went to sleep. So we don't know if he had any thoughts before he went to sleep, but it was just the growth. You see the growth. Um, Even though he's turned away from Muhan Jong and Muhan Jong is thinking, oh my gosh, she's upset with me. He's reflecting on his own actions instead of being like, oh, it's okay, like last time. It's okay. Let's just go to bed. He's like, no, like it's not okay. At least mentally, he's not saying this out loud, but no, it's not okay. Like I'm the one that did something wrong this time. So I really appreciated that. And I feel like I said that in the longest way possible, but I said it. But he realized it was his own excitement and impatience that led them to where they were. So let me see. I have a note. Oh yeah, I have my note there. So then we get to the next day. He gets up, he leaves. Muhajang is still asleep, and he goes to have court. So in court discussion, they're trying to figure out what to do with these barbarians, essentially. And several people are giving their thoughts. Jing Shao even gave his thoughts as well. And in the end, it turns out to be that, okay, the emperor is like, we're not gonna take this line down. This is a part of my territory. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna let the Ministry of War come up with a plan, and then we'll come back tomorrow and figure it out. And what Jing Shao is hoping is that, which brother was it? One of these brothers, I don't remember, is the one that ends up going to war, or going not going to war, but going to handle the barbarians, and hopefully not him. So he's kind of just leaving it up to luck. Well, okay, the emperor's either going to choose him or he's going to choose me. We shall see. So we haven't gotten a conclusion on that yet. You said he's learning communication. Yeah. And the crazy thing about it is that communication isn't always necessarily something that you do with others, but it can be something that you do with yourself. And again, that's why I think it's so vital when looking at the last time to this time, because last time it was just like, okay, um, let's go to sleep. And there really wasn't any communication between him and Muhanjang, or even between him and himself. Whereas this time he's thinking things through. So um, you said the first or fourth prince, so long as it's not him or his brother. Yeah, he's like, somebody except for me, somebody except for my bro. So then, so I'm assuming we'll get the answers for that in like the next 6 or so chapters. Well, hopefully within like the next 3 or 1, whatever. So then we have, oh, I know. I wanted to mention this because I didn't necessarily like it. So the wet nurse, she is talking to Muhan Jang or whatever, and she sees that he didn't sleep well. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, did something happen? And you look like you didn't sleep well last night." And she's automatically thinking about what may have happened in their bed. And so he's like, "It's not his fault," but she's not really convinced. And so, he was like, "No, he treats me very well." And she's like, "I don't know." And he was like, "It's my fault. I made him angry." And one of the things that the wet nurse had said was that if you keep rejecting him, like he can't take that and he's going to find someone else to sleep with him, basically. And I just wanted to talk about that for a quick second because, like, on one hand, I get it. Also, we know the society that they're in. Yes, he can definitely just, well, go sleep with one of his concubines, get another concubine, or just go sleep somewhere else. That's totally up to him. So, to a degree, I get what the wet nurse was saying, but at the same time, I highly disagree. I think stuff like that is situational because we have a man here who clearly loves Muhan Jang, and he also wants to take care of Muhan Jang. Not only that, but he understands what he did to Muhan Jang on their wedding night. So he understands that it's a process that he has to go through in order to get them to a moment where they can have that sexual intimacy without that fear, or where they can, maybe the fear is there, but Muhan Jang will move in spite of the fear. He's gone out to get advice. He just used the advice for the first time, and so it's just kind of like, I don't agree with that. It's been such a short amount of time anyway. And yes, a man has needs. We know that, but that's no excuse. A man, when they want a woman or when they want another man, when they want someone, they're going to put in the effort. And it just kind of reminds me of, again, my own personal relationship. I mean, my husband, he I kid you not, guys, because we talk about everything. Like, it doesn't matter. Some things we talk about just to be funny. Some things we talk about just because why not talk about them? But with things being so bad with my adenomyosis and him having needs, for me being traumatized and literally thinking, I don't even want you to touch me because I don't want you to get turned on and then we can't have sex. We have had conversations before about like him sleeping with someone else. And he was like, I don't want to sleep with anyone else. I just want to sleep with you. And so it's, in another, my godson's mom, after her pregnancy with him, because he was this huge alien baby, like her stomach was huge. She was all the way messed up physically, and she couldn't have sex for 6 months. Her husband wasn't going out to look for anybody else. He only wanted to have sex with her. Did he have needs? Yes. But those needs just were put on pause, at least in that regular penetration form. And so for the wet nurse to say that, I was just like, are we doing this again? Like, can we stop projecting our own assumptions on people? Just, can we stop? Like, oh my gosh, he said she's assuming, sadly. That's like mom's advice. Yes, the continuation. It's one of them general advices that can do a lot of good for most, but extreme harm to a few. Yes, because then my thought is also, if you're saying something like this to him without context of what has already happened, you could potentially be putting Muhan Jang in a scenario where he's already insecure about whether or not he can say yes or no, even though he's being shown that he can say no. He may feel like he has to have sex with Jing Shao. And if he puts himself in a position to where he forces himself to do it, that could be even more traumatizing for him. So it's just like, lady, you don't even know the whole story. You don't even know what's going on in Jing Shao's mind or what's going on in their relationship. So just like calm down, because the last thing we need him to do is to try to have sex when he doesn't really want to. And from personal experience, I know that that is a bad idea because I did that before. I was like, let's try to have sex. And it turned out horribly. It hurt. And I also just couldn't stay in the mood because my brain kept thinking, oh my gosh, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. This is gonna be really bad. And then afterward, he talked and he was like, "Did you really want to have sex?" And I was like, "You wanted to have sex." He was like, "But did you want to have sex?" No, I didn't. And I caused myself more trauma because I was trying to like satisfy my husband. Meanwhile, he would have been fine if we just didn't have sex. And so I'm like, I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen to Muhanjong because I know what that's like. It's awful. And I'm like, wet nurse, be quiet. Stay out of the relationship. Just go somewhere else. So yeah, he is such a good husband. Wanna do gooders are terrifying. Intimacy is hard. Yeah. And that's something like, yeah, it's difficult, especially when people have some kind of trauma. That it's a delicate situation, and Jing Shao knows that, and he is working through this delicate situation. So I'm just really enjoying this. I'm so glad I got over my first jitters of those 6 chapters because this is actually really, really good. Like so good. Very, very good. It's like vocabulary, Mari. It's excellent. It's riveting. It is very engaging. Yes, those are my words aside from very, very good. So that was chapters 13 through 20. I'm thinking we can meet again tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Tomorrow is Sunday. Do I want to go to church with my husband? No, I don't think so. Hold on. Let me just look. If I don't go to church this weekend, I would go next weekend, which would be the 4th. I didn't go this past weekend, but I did go the 2 weekends before that. I'm sorry, I'm working through this with y'all so that we can schedule our next live session. I promised my husband I would go to church with him once a month. I've already went twice this month. Do I want to go tomorrow? I think I'll just go on the 4th. Yeah, let's do that. So we can meet tomorrow. Let's see. Yeah, now you see why it had to be there to begin with, because it's really crucial to what the book is about. Yes. Yes. It's kind of one of those things. Again, I made a post on TikTok where, I was like, some people were like, why did the author put this in there? And even started to question the author themselves for putting it there. And it's like, I mean, sometimes there is no why. It's not like Arha, where there's a purpose behind the essay, if you will. I mean, even in real life, when people sexually assault others, when people murder others, when people torture others, the why isn't always relevant. The point is that it was just done. It's like we don't need some tragic backstory, or knowing the flower was input in someone that makes them turn evil and do bad things. It's like sometimes people do bad things. Sometimes people do bad things because they are bad people, and then they have to not be bad anymore and figure out how to go about that. And that's just kind of how I view The Wife Comes First, you know, not thinking, oh my gosh, why did the author put that in there? That set the whole tone for it. I don't think it set the tone. I think it's a little bit difficult to digest when you first read those first few chapters. But if you take the time to think about everything else, then it all comes together. So, um, you said some people need to realize they did evil. Yes, exactly. Cause that's all it is. You said you just want to keep reading. And it is. I do. I do. In fact, I'm mad that we started reading this because the next book doesn't come out until March. What am I gonna do? Yes, move on to another book, but like, what am I gonna do with this book? So, anyway, you say you think this kind of narrative teaches a lot of people a lot of useful things. Absolutely. Not only that, but I think we need to like stop being so what's the word I'm looking for? Or phrasing. We need to realize that books are gonna have things in them that are bad. Yeah. Yeah. Like, there are good and bad people in the world, there are gonna be good and bad people in books, and, we also need to realize that bad people can also be redeemed, and in real life and in books. You said watch 10 Dance and stuff until March. I do need to watch 10 Dance, thank you, which I also heard it's a manga. I don't really read mangas, I just can't, but I saw someone do a review saying that the movie didn't do it justice, although it was still a very good movie, and I was just like, "I don't even care because what's his name is in it, so that's all that matters." I need to remember his name. Hold on. Um, he was in, Cherry Magic. Hold on. Uh, what is the oops, I'm sorry, I put characters and I meant to put actors. Yes, him. Keita, I hope I said that right, Machida. That man is so fine. I love him so much. He is amazing. You said you need to rewatch Cherry Magic now that I brought it up. The chemistry is insane. I can't wait to watch it. I'm very excited. I need to, but right now I can't watch it because I am all over Kuroko's basketball. Yo, this anime is so freaking good. And I'm just so excited because like I've been predicting things or saying things as they go along. And then finally, like they've been coming to pass. I'm like, oh, I was saying that. That's what I said. I wrote this anime. I've been having so much fun. And then it's also been awful for me because I've been watching this at night. Like I binged it when we were in Tennessee visiting family. It was late. I binged it from like 12 to 3 something. And I wanted so bad to be like, "Yeah, yeah," but instead I was like because everybody was asleep. And then even last I was like, "I gotta stop watching this show at night because I wanna scream and, like, yell and be excited and hype." Because I love sports anime and I really like basketball in general. And so for me, I'm like, "Man, I gotta be quiet at night when people are asleep. Then I wanna scream." So I need to watch this. I will keep you all updated. So I hope you have a great night, a great day, wherever you are. And I will see you all tomorrow. I'm gonna get the live scheduled so you can click on it to notify me when we're live. And remember chapters 21 through 28. And I'll see you guys next time. Well, Eineman. Bye bye. I see you waving. Yes, over and out. Over and out. And